In this video, you will learn how to start and proceed with ketogenic diet. You will learn how, using this diet, you can unlock the amazing potential of your body you didn't even expect you have. And by the end of the video, you will have all the knowledge you need to decide for yourself and prepare for this journey. My name is Szymon and welcome back to my channel. Let's talk about it. In the previous video, I provided you with the introduction to low-carb diet. That's where I would like you to start. There are two main ways to approach starting a ketogenic diet. The first one is what I recommend for most people. Slowly easing into it, using low carb for a few weeks, and only then going full keto. The idea is to minimize the downsides of keto adaptation and delay the vast majority of benefits just a little bit to make sure that the process is smooth and more enjoyable. The second one is to go keto from the beginning, but to keep the calories high, preferably at your maintenance, or just making sure you eat until you're full to avoid hunger. Simultaneously, you give your body time to adapt to a new way of eating and remind itself how to use fat correctly as a source of fuel. For most people, I recommend the first one, as it tends to be easier at learning proper eating habits, slowly, step by step, while taking time to learn all the necessary nuances and educate yourself. This is especially important given that it's a long process. And if you want to succeed, you have to be well educated in that matter, or have a good coach who can guide you. And what is at stake here is losing all the fat you need to lose, and more importantly, keeping it off permanently, as well as resolving most or all of the diet-related health issues, or fortify your body to prevent them, which is actually usually way more things than you expect. Of course, the higher severity of your issues is, or your body fat you need to lose, the longer you need to use this diet to achieve these goals, and usually the stricter you need to be. That being said, even if you achieve all you wanted to achieve in the first place using this diet, I would highly recommend you to stick to it to the extent you deem suitable for your preference long term. And there are many people who stick to keto even after achieving all the goals they wanted, because it provides delicious energy, and if done correctly, tailored to your needs, it can serve you for decades. Here's why. The long-term benefits of permanent keto usage go far beyond only metabolism, as well as resolving other health issues and preventing chronic disease. If you're truly fat adapted, meaning that you spend at least most of your time in ketosis, your body produces ketones in larger quantities and more effectively. This is actually metabolic flexibility. This gives you more energy and in a more stable way, so that you can run all day on sustainable fuel. And when you feel tired or sleepy, it's because you actually are, not because you overate carbs or didn't eat for 2 hours. Your hunger drops to normal, natural levels. You are no longer a slave to food, and your brain energy is stable, so you're able to perform intellectually better than ever on high-carb diets. What science actually shows is that relying on ketones is not only optimal for your body as whole and all the metabolic processes, but especially beneficial for the brain. But you need to understand the mechanism, at least on the basic level. You see, if you don't provide glucose externally from carbohydrates by eating no carbs or next to none, let's say below 20 grams per day, your body is more than capable of creating all the energy it needs from, guess what, your stored fat. It's there for a reason. Instead of relying on energy you constantly need to consume throughout the day, you can go steadily for long hours using your own fat. And you don't get energy crashes. You're not overly agitated like you were when using carbs. Your liver knows exactly what to do. It produces ketone bodies from your fat, and tissues in your body use as much as they need to function optimally. And for tissues that require some glucose to function, guess what? Your liver produces it from the fat as well and sends it to these tissues via blood in exactly the quantities that are needed. No excess. That process, and that's something to remember, is called gluconeogenesis. So if you tell someone next time that you're going to try keto diet and they say, oh, and what about brain energy? The brain needs some glucose. Well, that's the answer. But even your brain doesn't rely only on glucose, in contrary to what is often claimed. It's more than happy to use ketones still, mostly. And the scientific literature does prove it. Oh, and by the way, the ketogenic diet is well researched, and we have more than 100 years of literature proving its mechanisms and benefits. There are still more and more studies regarding brain energy that show how ketones are superior, and sufficient glucose is additionally provided by the liver to the brain, even if you don't provide glucose from the diet at all. I mean 0 grams per day. Moreover, this way your brain is better protected, mostly because glucose overload directly damages neurons. The list of benefits of this diet goes on, and to be frank, I will probably revisit this topic dozens of times on this channel. So let's dive into how you actually start this diet and what you should do to get it right. First of all, you need to track your carb intake. No calorie counting. Protein and fat can be guesstimated in most cases, but you need to make sure you don't exceed 20 to 30 grams of carbs per day. And we are not even talking about mostly carb sources. We are talking about scarce carb values that are present even in high-fat, high-protein foods that contain some little carbs. You need to be mindful of that. The reason is your carbs need to be low enough so that the body isn't focused on burning through glucose, and instead it's incentivized to produce energy from its own stored fat. This process does work even if you consume lots of calories. But I'm not gonna lie, if you couple it with proper calorie deficit, although modest one, that's where you really go deep into fat burning and fast healing. However, there is a caveat. It really works optimally once you are fat adapted. So in most cases, you would want to go keto first by eliminating carb foods and rewiring your body for fat usage, and only then play with calories to burn more and more. What is really amazing about keto is that while you adapt and burn through the fat, both from your diet and your own tissue, your metabolism actually gets better. So you use more calories per food you eat. You're more energetic, but at the same time, you burn more energy. It's because you pee out and breathe out ketones the more you're deeply in ketosis. It's exactly the opposite of what would happen when you're not fat adapted and rely on the fat loss only from calorie deficit while still consuming lots of carbs and still being insulin resistant. That's a recipe for a misery. Hunger, low energy, low libido, and strong food cravings. That's why some people succeed on this strategy, using their strong will, exceptional discipline, and physical exercise. But most people fail through no fault of their own. Alright, so you keep carbs below 20 grams per day. Give yourself a month or two to learn this new way of eating. Don't track calories. Focus on satiety instead. You shouldn't feel hungry except before you go to sleep. That's when your stomach should be already empty and you should feel light and perhaps a little bit hungry, but not too much. That's how you also optimize sleep from a dietary standpoint. You may still lose some fat during this keto adaptation period, but that's not the goal really, and you should not force it. Instead, enjoy the satiating whole foods full of delicious fat and protein, and enjoy the increasing energy you get from it. What you certainly will lose though is water retention, as well as the bloating. So the scale number will probably go down a lot, maybe even 5 to 10 kilos first month or two. Warning: it's because of lowering insulin and getting rid of excess water. So it means losing electrolytes as well in the process. This is critical. It's natural because of sodium retention on high carbs, and losing the excess water also accelerates losing electrolytes too much in this phase. That's when you need to make sure you drink enough electrolytes. And salt your food to taste to make sure you replenish your electrolytes effectively. And limiting coffee, or at least making it bulletproof by adding some delicious fat to it, is also going to help. Some people experience that drinking salty water and salting their food to taste is enough, but for some people adding in some good supplement with electrolytes is going to be necessary. It really depends on the case. The next stage is implementing calorie restriction so that you accelerate your fat loss. But here's the fun part. You still don't really need to count your calories. In fact, you probably even shouldn't in most cases. What you want to focus on is satiety and time-restricted eating. That's why intermittent fasting is keto's wingman. You eat 2 or 3 delicious ketogenic meals spread over 6 hours, let's say between 11 a.m. and 5 p.m., and that's it for the day. The timing must suit your schedule and preference, but the key part is you eat in your 4 to 8 hour window, and then you fast over the rest of the day and night. We know from the literature that the time-restricted eating, coupled with high satiety and nutrient-dense foods, is superior to any form of calorie restriction itself. I will elaborate on it in separate video as it's a topic worth exploring more. Make sure you drink a lot of water. Hydration is key. You can also use bulletproof coffee or tea, but be careful not to overuse it. And preferably, don't drink it on empty stomach. It's usually better to eat first, wait an hour or two, and then drink some warm beverages. Regarding meal timing and composition, you can try different strategies for yourself, or use some individual help from a coach who knows what they're talking about, and also being in contact with other people who could actually become your friends also doing this diet, and being a part of community really helps as well. Choosing your way is the key. So how exactly should you eat? Let's actually start with what you should avoid. All the foods rich in carbs. Rice, potatoes, starchy vegetables. Obviously, all the processed junk foods. No pizza, no fast food, no pastry, no regular ice cream, and no desserts. This is non-negotiable. Most fruit, most vegetables, gone. No fruit juices. The list is long, but it's actually pretty clear what you should avoid. Learn to read the labels and get educated on the products. Limiting carbs in any of them is key. You will actually learn a lot in the process. And this knowledge and education, and being able to apply this knowledge to your cooking and groceries, is going to help you permanently. Eating in restaurants gets tricky. In most cases, you need to give up on that, at least for the adaptation, and if your goals are ambitious. But there are some ways around it, but it's a topic worth exploring in a separate video. For now, if you have to go to eat outside, focus on meat. Steaks are king, but the most important part is avoiding all the buns, bread, pasta, rice, and so on. Instead, focus on meat, meaty salads, and fat sauces with no sugar. Ask the waiter to make sure that what you're getting is protein and fat based with no additional sugar. So now what should you eat? Focus on protein and fat that comes with it. Adding some more fatty products to this protocol is also a viable strategy depending on your goals and circumstances, but the outcomes vary dramatically individually. That's why you have to be mindful. So your best friends are going to be beef, eggs, fish, preferably fatty fish like mackerel or salmon. Poultry is okay, but it's less nutritious and less fat. So you better focus on fatty parts and with skin. Chicken soup, though, is amazing. And for those of you who have Polish grandmother, ask her to make you one. It's treasure. Just make sure there's no pasta in it, or that this pasta is low carb or keto. There are some nice products like this in the market, but you have to be really diligent and read the labels to make sure it actually contains no more than 10 grams of carbs per 100 grams of product. Bone broths are superfood. Clarified butter or ghee for cooking, as well as MCT oil or just regular coconut oil. Veggies like broccoli, cauliflower or even carrot can be good in moderation, but count the carbs from them and make sure you don't exceed your carb budget. And cook them well so they are soft. Fermented veggies like pickles or sauerkraut are better, especially as they are probiotic and can additionally help you with digestion issues. Salads are actually a nice add-on, but caveat: don't overdo them and make sure you avoid too much spinach or arugula because of the phytotoxins. I mentioned before that spinach is actually one of the better ones, but caveat: only if well cooked. Nuts are a treat if you like them, but don't eat them in large quantities. Also, they're not as nutritious as they seem, and they can cause some problems, especially irritated stomach. So do not lean on them for nutrition. Cheeses are, in my opinion, amazing, especially if you choose the ones that actually don't contain any carbs. Feta cheese and cheddar are my favorites. Seasonal fruit like strawberries, blueberries or blackberries are fine in moderation, especially if added to some fatty yogurt or fatty cream instead of eaten alone. There are lots of great ideas for meals on keto, including some really nice desserts. But I need to caution you, these also need to be included in moderation and limited to several times a week, more like 1 or 2 than 7. For example, on the weekends. Do not rely on them and their sweet taste too much. As long as they do not throw you out of ketosis if well formulated, they are easy to overeat calorie-wise. So you may have problem with losing fat if you overdo them. Just limit them to weekends and you should be fine. Also, practice delayed gratification. So if you achieve everything you wanted on keto and want to continue long-term for health benefits and great energy, you can easily include more of the amazing keto recipes for desserts and stuff like that and make it easier to adhere to long-term because of it. And for the vast majority of the week, just keep it as simple as possible. In fact, variety of food is your enemy in most cases, in contrary to what is usually said about that. Limit your food selection to your favorite ones from the most nutritious ones, like ruminant meat, different types of eggs, fatty fish, and meat organs from time to time. Use some low-carb veggies as an add-on, more for the taste, not so much for nutritional value. Throw in some avocados if you like them, and get used to fermented veggies. Also, a little bit of carrots and spices in your grandma's chicken soup are also going to be fine. You can use some homemade fatty sauces, heavy whipping cream, butter and fatty dairy if you tolerate it well. But really, the important part is the simpler you keep it for taste and comfort of meal prep, the better. You can play with recipes and tastes on weekends or some social occasions like birthday parties. If you don't have a reason to be a chef, don't be a chef. Just cook some meat, eggs, some bone broth or chicken soup, add something keto-friendly to taste, and that's it. As simple as possible. If you actually stick to all what I said and find your way to make it enjoyable, which I highly encourage you to do, success is inevitable. Losing weight on this diet is actually a cherry on the top of health benefits, improved mood, vitality, brain function, libido, and so on. And the great edge of keto is that if you're already properly fat adapted, you can afford to cheat on it from time to time and not beat yourself up for it. Christmas or some occasional exception from time to time, let's say every 3 or 4 weeks, is easily fixable in short time, usually from 1 to 3 days, especially with some additional fasting and exercise, and it puts you right back into ketosis and your body recovers quickly. Is this approach for everybody though? Honestly, not really. Because if you started this diet for important health problems, or you have some specific ambitious goals to achieve, the less cheating, the better. The more strict and dedicated you are, the better the outcome would be. Someone insulin resistant or, for example, trying to regain fertility and hormonal balance should really dedicate at least few months, more like half a year, to dial in and really make the most of it. But if you're already winning and keto is your new lifestyle and you love how you feel, look and operate, it's really up to you how much you let yourself break this diet while being able to maintain the benefits long term. Being mindful, calculated, knowing your body and having experience in doing keto makes this decision process way easier. I know many people who have such control over their eating habits after being long-term on ketogenic diet that it's really not an issue for them to eat some real pizza once in a while, a piece of birthday cake at someone's birthday party, or just relax during Christmas, using moderation, some essential rules, still focusing on protein and fat, just letting themselves add some carbs once in a while. All it takes is getting back to ketosis as soon as you can, exercising, implementing some fasting, and not letting these cheat days become a regular norm. For some people, it can be 12 days per year or more. For some others, way less. The key is, don't beat yourself up for it. Get back on tracks like nothing happened and trust your body to an extent. It knows what it does. It just needs a proper environment and nutrition as well as signaling. So just give it what it needs. For me personally, keto is a form of safe, controlled, and delicious way to make one-day exceptions from my usual carnivore diet. It is actually a tip from Dr. Ken Berry, who said that if you need to cheat on carnivore, cheat with keto. I already healed and improved so much on a strict carnivore diet that I can implement some keto treats from time to time, as well as some plant foods with absolutely no problem. I also realized that some people just don't have such luxury, and they should be strict basically all the time, in most cases for health reasons. I admire and respect them a lot. At the same time, I believe that adherence beats perfection, and for most people, aiming at strict diet without exceptions and with no flexibility is a pathway to failure. Most of us just don't have incentives so strong, health issues so bad, and willpower so immense to stay on a strict elimination diet forever with no exception. I know for a fact that some die-hard carnivores of dogmatic approach would probably eat me and make a bone broth from my bones for saying that. But honestly, I don't care. I just want to help people achieve better health and fitness goals. And I see that for some people, strict approach works best, while others need more flexibility to stick to the core rules long term. And if you watched this video all the way to this point, please let me know down in the comments what your health story is. Also, feel free to ask me questions and drop the ideas for future videos. That would be it for this video. If you value what I'm doing and want to support my channel, you can do it by subscribing to it, checking out my other videos, liking this one, and turning on notifications. And remember that your engagement means a lot to me. For now, thank you so much for watching this one, and until next video, my name is Szymon and I wish you a great, wonderful day. Stay healthy.